Check, check. Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and we are here to recap the NFL Draft first round live here on YouTube. Not something I usually do. I usually like to edit these videos together, but I feel like we had so much to talk about today that I'm just going to talk right at you, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you followed us on our gambling podcast, congratulations. Ryan Perio was 8-2 on his recommendations from the gambling podcast. I was 7-3 from the gambling podcast. Now, NFL Insider James didn't do quite as well, to be fair to him. He took a lot of long shots, but pretty horrible record at 3-7 is what NFL Insider James ended up with, which is ironic because he's the one who picks the bets. If you know the gimmick, he picks the bets. We have a force bet. We can agree or disagree with them. No pivot, no bet, no golden ball sort of situation. And that's why I have this bad boy right here for my last off-season title. I was also regular season champion for our gambling podcast. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe and check us out for those future episodes. But let's get right into it. The NFL draft. And y'all saw my thumbnail. We're going to skip right past the first overall pick, Cam Ward, which probably I would say a lot of people are talking about it. Probably not enough. It was kind of too obvious, and too many people knew ahead of time that Cam was going to go number one overall. It was a sure thing, and rightfully so. Cam Ward is a stud, and I think he's going to have a pretty good shot at having a pretty good career over there in Tennessee. So congratulations to him. Definitely well-deserving. Definitely the number one quarterback in this draft class. We got more quarterbacks to talk about today, but let's get to it with our second overall pick and the absolute masterpiece that the Cleveland Browns put on in front of the entire world. So they came out, Andrew Berry, GM for the Browns, came out 2 weeks ago and was pumping up Travis Hunter at number 2. We said he's so excited. He can go both ways. We're going to play him both ways. He is elite on both ends of the football, and we just can't wait to draft him, basically is what he said without saying it. And because of that, the Jacksonville Jaguars ended up trading up from 5 to get to 2 and gave the Browns. And the Browns now have 33, 36, and a next year first. They absolutely worked the Jags in this pick. And a lot of people are calling Travis Hunter Shohei Ohtani. I'm more on the no way Ohtani side of things. I think he is going to be the Jadeveon Clowney of this draft class, in that he will have a fine career. He'll make a couple of Pro Bowls. He'll be all pro once from one side of the football, and he'll have a long, good career in the NFL. But the expectations for Travis Hunter are just way, way too high, because Shohei Ohtani, he's one of the best in the MLB at pitching and at hitting. Travis Hunter is not going to be one of the best in the NFL at wide receiver, at corner. I don't think he was a top 3 corner in this draft class. I don't think he is a top 2, maybe not even a top 3 wide receiver in this draft class. Now, maybe he specializes one side and he starts playing better, but for the film he put out and the statistics, the metrics that are behind what he did in college indicate that he's going to be a good, like a starting level corner, like a starting level running back in the NFL. Hopefully. Everyone's saying he's a sure thing. Hopefully it all works out. There's other reasons I don't like him. I've followed his content on YouTube, and I usually love athletes putting out their own stuff. I love athletes taking their own voice and putting it out and showing people what they're actually like in real life, like Bryson DeChambeau for a golf reference. Everyone hated that guy until he got a YouTube channel. Now everyone loves him because you got to see what he's like. He's out in front of the world. Travis Hunter had the exact opposite effect to me. And it wasn't even his attitude. It was just like his workout video. It was like, this guy's not working hard. So I get it. He didn't really have to practice, or he didn't have to practice. He didn't practice at all in college. He was just recovering full time in between games and kind of watching practice. That ain't going to fly in the NFL. I don't think. Maybe it does in Jacksonville. Maybe that's how they run it. But I just think it's all made for a massive to moderate disappointment with what we got going on over there in Jacksonville. The Browns, on the other side of things, didn't need a corner. Let's be honest. The Browns have probably one of the best secondaries in the league. They didn't play like it last year, but they're good. They're really, really good. And they got Mason Graham out of Michigan, who I think could potentially, I think he will have a better NFL career than Travis Hunter. And on top of that, the Browns are going to get to draft 33 and 36 at the top of this draft in the second round. We'll see what they take. If they take advantage of it, I think they could really turn this organization around. And it sounds funny, but like 2027, the Browns could be looking really, really good after they have 2 first-round draft picks, or essentially 2 first-round draft picks if you count the 33 in this draft, 2 first-round draft picks next draft. Now, if I were nitpicking, I would have appreciated if the Browns traded back up to get Dart. I really like Dart. But who knows? Maybe they think we're not ready for a quarterback at this point. We're going to ride with Flacco throwing the pigskin for us this year. So, hey, fine. We'll see if they take a quarterback in this afternoon in the second or third round. I think what we saw with the Cleveland Browns is the owner, Jimmy Haslam, stepping back, saying, hey, I know I really goofed up this whole situation with Deshaun Watson. I know I made you look horrible, and I got my hands too deep in your job. I'm going to let you, Andrew Berry, do your job, defend your job, earn your job back, because rightfully so, if you were looking at it from the outside in, not knowing that the owner was pulling the strings, like Andrew Berry should have been fired 2 years ago. He's been so bad. So I think that's what we saw with the Cleveland Browns, an absolute masterclass out of Andrew Berry. And some people are going to be upset, and I don't think they're going to be upset when the actual football season comes around and you see what Mason Graham looks like and you see what Travis Hunter looks like. Because I think it's going to be slightly, not entirely, but slightly disappointing, similar to Clowney when he only had whatever it was, like 3 sacks in his first 3 years with the team because he had injuries and stuff like that going on. I would like to give a shout out to the Pat McAfee show. I did watch on the Pat McAfee show, and I hosted a handful of friends over last night. And one of my friends is like, wow, this is the best NFL broadcast for the NFL draft I have ever seen. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. I've been watching, I think, all 5 years back. This was, I think, his 6th one that he did. And a little bit less thrills. Like we've seen like the Red Panda, we've seen O's the Mentalist. They didn't really do that. They really leaned on Peter Schrager. And I think Peter Schrager, for what it's worth, should earn his way onto the toxic table over there for Pat McAfee. He was absolutely electric. It was a shame that he wasn't on another program, but he fit right in with Pat McAfee, and he kind of leaned into it where he kind of played a little bit of a heel. He played like the toxic role extremely well in the NFL draft. So Peter Schrager and Pat McAfee absolutely crushed it. I think they were on ESPN, of course, but we watched it on YouTube. He had 200 concurrents on YouTube basically the whole way through. Everyone kind of just stayed with him the whole way through. So it was an awesome performance out of the Pat McAfee show. And I think we converted at least one more person to the Pat McAfee bandwagon that I'm sure will crash and burn at some point. We're still in the good old days of the Pat McAfee show, but he'll become, a little bit insufferable and just too much take at some point. He's not there yet. We're getting close though. Moving on to the Giants. We're not going to cover every single pick here, just the ones that I want to really talk about. I think the Giants crushed it. Like I said, they got the quarterback that I wanted and got him before the 26th pick, which was very important because we all had the under 25.5 in our gambling podcast. They traded in. They were trying to trade in, according to reports, kind of the whole time. And finally, someone bit. They traded back. They got in. They got their guy, Jackson Darton. Didn't have to pay, a big, hefty fee for it, like we saw the Jags pay a big, hefty fee to move up early in the first round, of course, to second overall. Abdul Carter, for what it's worth, obviously the best pass rusher in this class. Not a lot of big concerns about him. The only thing I would say is he struggles against run blocking a little bit. He gets bodied sometimes by some tight ends. I got a little excited when I saw Harold Fannin kind of block him into oblivion on one or two plays that he was blocking in the game. I'm not concerned about it. That's not what you draft him to do. You draft him to rush the quarterback, and that's what he's going to do, and that's what he's going to do great. So he'll fit right in. By the way, with big defensive linemen over there in New York, that's not really going to be what he needs to do at all. He just got to rush the passer, and the New York Giants are defense, I think, is going to look pretty good, which they did look good when they've been healthy over the past couple of years. So with all the pieces they have there, adding a big piece on the defense, adding an awesome piece on the offense, I think the New York Giants absolutely crushed it. Which brings me to the smoke before the draft. I never for a second, and we always have to remember this as we get closer to the draft, sometimes we learn things and you kind of got to listen to who's saying it. If it's just like a rumor mill thing, I don't think that's very reliable. But if it's Jay Glazer saying it, it's going to happen. So leading up to the draft, it was always Raiders getting Genty. Genty's going to the Raiders. Genty is a Raider. Everybody was saying it. And then all out of nowhere, Jags are going to move up. Bears are going to move up to 5. The gambling lines adjusted to have the Bears move up to 5 to take Genty, which obviously didn't happen. Instead, the Jags move up to 2. I think the Browns were trying to trade back. Maybe they didn't like what the Bears were offering, and they just stuck right there, took their guy, did a good job. All that to say is Genty is a Raider, and he was never going to be a Jag. Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, dodge a major bullet there. We'll see if Etienne gets traded. Probably not, if I had to guess. I don't think they're going to get a whole lot for him. But the Raiders got themselves a guy, and let me show you what type of guy that they got over there in Vegas. This guy somebody who being able to get up and dunk a basketball like this is absolutely insane. It's hilarious that Genty didn't even think he needed to test for the combine. He didn't even want to do like a scatabo where he did at least a vertical, because watching that, he would have broken the scale. He would have gotten like a 45-inch vertical and everyone would have lost their mind. Maybe he would have moved up in the draft. Obviously, he's not too stressed about it. He's already going to be, I think he's already like based on where he was drafted, going to be like the top 5 paid running back in the league this year. So great move for the Raiders. They needed a running back over there to get stuff moving, and we'll see what happens. This is the Tom Brady show from all reports. So now they got a quarterback over there. Now they got a running back over there. See how the offensive line is. You kind of believe in the defensive line when they're healthy. So we'll see what the Raiders are going to look like next year. Probably going to be a little bit of a struggle still, but hey, anything could happen over there in Vegas. The Saints do not go with Dart 9 overall, which we were really hoping for our gambling podcast purposes. And I guess the Giants just knew they had big balls on them. And they're like, we're going to wait around. We're going to trade back up in 25. According to our reports, we believe that our guy will still be there. And he was. So congratulations to the Giants. And we'll see how it works out for the Saints. I don't know who's going to be. Is it the Spencer Rattler show? Do the Saints draft Kyle McCord in the second round? I don't know exactly what the Saints' plan is, especially with the salary cap situation that they're perpetually stuck in. One of my favorite picks of the night, a guy who from day one was the number one wide receiver in the class. Arguably, if you don't count Travis Hunter, of course. He lands in a great spot in Carolina. Ted McMillan goes to the Panthers, 6'4". They're going to have two big, tall, fast receivers over there in Carolina. He will be the number one receiver on the team, I think, day one over Legette, who was their second round pick, or they traded up into the end of the first round last year to get Legette. So they got two first round wide receivers over there. Obviously, Legette probably had a little bit of an underwhelming season one, but I think going into it, we all knew that Legette was going to be at best a okay starter and a developmental guy that we can develop into something special. So hopefully they can do that over there. Obviously, I think they have the quarterback for it. He is short. He's young. He's like 2 feet shorter and 2 years younger than Tyler Shuck coming out of this draft class from Louisville. So I think they can really turn it around there. I get it. He got benched last year. Bryce Young did. But with Tet and Xavier over there, I think they're going to be in good shape. I'm excited to see what it is. And fantasy-wise, Tet, I think, is going to just absolutely crush it his first year with the team. Which gets me to horrible draft picks. I thought the NFC North, outside of the Vikings and the Lions, absolutely made a mess of things in this draft. The Bears take Colston Loveland as the first tight end off the board, which was controversial over Tyler Warren. In my opinion, Harold Fannin is the number one. Let's be real. He led the whole college landscape in receiving yards, including wide receivers. As a tight end, he was number one receiver in college last year over Tet, over all these guys, over Travis Hunter in receiving yards. He's a freak. He can block, not pass block, but he can block. Tyler Warren, more of an all-over guy, can do anything. And Loveland's an interesting pick because he, to me, didn't shine like the other two. He's my third tight end off the board. And as a Lions fan, I absolutely love it. I think the pick for the Bears and the Packers were horrible. We'll see what the Vikings guy comes up with. I'm not going to pretend like I done my research on interior linemen that got drafted by the Vikings. But Golden, his 40 time was fake. His statistics scream bust. He was terribly inefficient. He disappeared in games. He had one good game and one good 40 time, which we'll cover here in a second. But let me take you back to the Bears really quickly. I want y'all to see the reaction of the coaching staff and the lack of the lack of juice that they had in the Bears office. I mean, I'm a Lions fan. I'm used to seeing somebody get hit.
Let's go, coach. Come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Not to get
Awesome,
of big
Yeah.
testosterone guys. And this is the call the Bears make to Colston Loveland to tell him that he's a Bear. And Loveland seems to be the most excited. You know who's not excited? Look at all these guys in the back kind of shaking their head like, what the hell did we just do? And here we go, our old offensive coordinator. I can't even remember his name. I don't know. I think he'll be really even that good for the Bears or whatever. But I think the Bears made a mess of it. I think the Vikings did an okay job. And I think the Packers made a mess of it because they got sold a bill of goods. They were lied to. And this has been a long time coming. Over the course of the last couple of years for pro days, if there is a full clip of the guy running the 40, I will take it into my video editing software. I'll go frame by frame. As soon as his hand leaves the turf, start a clock. I start the clock, and as soon as I can get a frame of him crossing the 40-yard line, I stop the clock. And it came to my attention that Matthew Golden's 40 time was potentially fraudulent. 4:29 is what the official time, and I always thought it was all lasers. And then you look at the video and you're like, you only have lasers for the first 30 yards for the splits, but there's no laser for the last one. So I always assumed they did what I did and just review the film, review the tape, and cut it out and time it that way. Apparently, they have like 3 stopwatches and they just take the average, which is mind-blowing to call that an official 40-yard time. And I did a deep dive, but let me show you what I found with Golden here on his 40 time. So like I said, I took it frame by frame. I cut it up, and the second he crossed the line was a 4.37. And now you're going to say like, well, Jamie, 4.37, that's still really good. And yes, still very fast. But everybody who saw him run the 4.29, every analyst that I heard talk about it, he's like, well, he doesn't really run 4.29 on the field. He's not a 4.29 guy on the field. He's fast. He's not Xavier Worthy out there. Let's be honest. And statistically, he's not Xavier Worthy. He was allegedly in a good system, in a good situation with a guy I was always told was going to be like the number 1 quarterback drafted in this draft class going back years and years and years, and Quinn Ewers, even Arch Manning throwing him the ball when Quinn goes down, and he can't produce on a consistent basis. These numbers that we're seeing, I mean, Lee Gett, his efficiency statistics in his career were very concerning, big red flags. Golden's is way worse. His statistical profile is horrible. I think he benefited from a lot of just blown coverages where he looks like he's wide open. Just you watch the film, it's blown coverage in a lot of his big plays. Yes, he can make explosive plays. Yes, he can make contested catches, but contested catch rate for wide receivers, which is another reason I don't like Travis Hunter, is the number 1 most overrated characteristic from wide receivers. If you fade the contested catch guy, the Rome Odunzes, who they can't really separate on an elite level, they are typically busts in the draft. So he's just got bust written all over his film. He's got bust written all over his consistency. He's got bust written all over the fact that they had to cheat and give him a fake 40 time to get him drafted in the first round. So congratulations, Packers. You got your first round wide receiver finally. And now you're going to see how it is when he is a bust. So enjoy that for now, Packers fans. Which brings me to the Lions. Drafting Freaky Leak, Tyleik Williams as their interior defensive lineman. And there were, to give credit where credit is due, some Lions broadcasters saying beforehand, Lions are going to take this guy. And they did. Ohio State, freak, big guy, 330, crazy lateral quickness, crazy pressure up the middle, just has perfect mechanics. And they got up on the podium, the Lions did after, and they were like, yeah, it was like this guy and Mason Graham are basically the same thing. And we got this guy at the end, and the Browns got Mason at the beginning of the first round, and we are extremely happy with it. Him having Ohio State, Michigan, obviously they're going to do the whoever wins, Ohio State or Michigan. We're going to see Aiden or Tyleik in the opposite jersey in the press conference pregame or whatever for Sunday or maybe postgame. Going to be hilarious. Going to make for great television. And I think it's going to make for a great defensive line. Having Aiden back, fully healthy, having Tyleik next to him until McNeil can get back towards the end of the season. Hopefully everybody stays healthy this time around. I don't know who's going to be rushing the quarterback from the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. I know Zadarius Smith is still out there. I'm sure Brad Holmes has some guy in the background just getting ready to get after the passer. We'll see, but a great pick for the Detroit Lions, and everyone will say it's a bad pick. Everyone will say he's a second-round guy. I just checked the receipts. There was a Sports Illustrated article from the 2023, the Jahmyr Gibbs draft for the Lions, D+. is what the Lions got there. So Lions are just always 3 steps ahead, and Lions fans are used to it now for the most part. You got a couple of shysters on social media or whatever who are pissed about it, but this is a great pick. I am furious that Gray Zabel was off the board and we couldn't take him. And that is the second time in I think 3 or 4 years where the Seattle Seahawks have sniped my favorite guy slotted to the Lions, and it was Witherspoon, the cornerback over there now, who's like an all-star that the Seahawks just absolutely sniped from us. So congratulations to the Seahawks for being great drafters and just ripping my heart out year after year in the NFL draft. But to be fair to the Lions are typically picking after Seattle. Colts get Tyler Warren, and that's going to be an interesting one. Daniel Jones, I think, will be the starting quarterback for 17 games there next year. I don't see Anthony Richardson outside of an injury earning a starting role based on everything we're hearing out of camp. I don't care how freaky of an athlete he is. Tyler Warren is good. He's a great tight end. Statistically, not super gaudy statistics like Harold Fannin or even even Brock Bowers, some of the tight ends that we've had in the past roll through that ended up being great first round picks. I think the tight end position got propped up by Sam Laporta. The rookie tight end position got propped up by Sam Laporta and got propped up, of course, by Brock Bowers having like a historic season. 2 tight end 1 rookies, which is like never happened ever until Sam Laporta did it. I think we are going to see a massive course adjustment on these tight ends, and these guys are going to be probably more in the Kyle Pitts landscape than the Laporta landscape or the Brock Bowers side of things. So Colts, we'll see. Not a terrible pick, not a great pick, but they need a guy in there to turn the tide of the locker room, and maybe from all reports, Tyler Warren's going to be that guy to do it. And he's a big guy, charismatic guy from all reports, from what I understand. So I guess good for the Colts. We'll see what happens. You know who just crushed it again, though? The Buccaneers. And Baker Mayfield is just sitting in his creamsicle pants, and they're getting maybe even a little bit creamier after the Emeka Egbuka pick. A guy I was hoping would fall to the Lions as well. Not quite as excited as I was for Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman from North Dakota. But Emeka Egbuka from the slot position would have been awesome for the Lions. I did a whole video on it if you guys want to watch it. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, everyone says he's a slot. He's not. He's much more efficient. He's much more explosive from the X position. So if we can get him playing X pretty much full time, or at least like 70% of the snaps, 60% of the snaps, similar to what Jamar Chase does, you're going to get a much similar Jamar Chase-like season out of Amon-Ra St. Brown if you are able to unlock him like that. And Egbuka would have been just a home run for the Lions. It is a home run for the Bucs, especially considering Godwin is going to be probably down and out for like the first half of the season, coming back from his knee injury. Older guy too. We'll see if he can bounce back. He has before in his NFL career, unfortunately. Poor guy, Chris Godwin, just can't catch a break though with these injuries. So opposite of Mike Evans, Egbuka is, I think, probably just going to crush it this year with the Bucs. And this might be the thing that takes the Bucs over the edge to be a legit Super Bowl contender this year, because I think they have been kind of in that playoff realm, and now I think they're legit contender realm just with this one pick. Emeka Egbuka, absolute demon over there for Ohio State. Had some favorable matchups. Definitely wasn't my top wide receiver on the board. We'll see if he goes today or tomorrow, but Trey Harris is my number 2. A little bit of a hot take there, but definitely a safe pick for the Buccaneers and good character guy from all things that I hear from sitting here on my couch here in South Dallas. Oh, a little bit of a head scratcher. We'll see how it works. The Falcons trading up for Pierce, who is a great player. I guess big character concerns guy. I don't know where that's coming from. Most of the time when I hear character concern guy, there's reason. Like Luther Burden would be a great example of a character concern guy where I'm like, yep, that guy's a character concern guy, just watching his film. And then you see his interview. I guess Pierce didn't have a great interview at the NFL Combine or whatever, but Falcons seem to love him. Falcons traded up. They didn't have to trade a bounty to trade back up into the first round either. So good for the Falcons. They definitely needed a pass rusher, and they got 2 of them in this draft class, and we'll see how it goes. Could transform their defense. So good for the Falcons, and we'll see what happens over there if they can keep his head on screwed on straight. And the last 2 picks, and this is just like the part of the draft where you just have to take a step back and let the NFL GMs cook. Because as a Lions fan, you could be pissed off that they didn't take Jihad Campbell. You could be pissed off that they didn't take Josh Simmons. But at some point, you just got to take a step back and think to yourself, hey, they know something that we don't know. Maybe his kneecap isn't attached. Maybe he is under investigation for murder or something crazy like that. Some crazy character concern reason to get these guys to fall into the late first round and into the hands of those darn Eagles and those darn Chiefs. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see if the rest of the NFL just totally missed on these guys. 2 guys I was pretty excited about, but evidently there's concerns that I'm unaware of, and I'm going to allow the NFL to sort that out. I'm not going to get my heart rate, my blood pressure elevated over my favorite teams not drafting those guys and drafting different guys. Which brings us to guys who didn't get drafted in the first round. No Shedeur Sanders, not a surprise to me. I was kind of buying all the steam about all the hate that he was getting, which is honestly just appropriate criticism, I think, for Shedeur Sanders. He's never had his daddy not coaching him all the way through Little League, high school, and in through college, head coach or offensive coordinator the whole way through. We don't know how he's going to respond. And it was Steelers or bust in the first round. And Steelers say no thank you to Shedeur Sanders, at least not yet. We'll see how far he falls in day 2. I got to imagine a team is going to take a shot at him. And if he does fall to round 3, a team's going to pick him up pretty early there because he is good quarterback in college. Not great, a lot of stuff to work on, but I think definitely appropriate that Jackson Dart went to the Giants and Sanders fell out of the first round. A lot of things have already been said about Shedeur, so I'll leave it there. But I think a smart, wise decision out of everybody to pass on Shedeur, at least for now. There were some, speaking of quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck, some big steam coming out of him. 25 years old, but he is like 6'5". He's got a good arm. He gets stuff out on time, but inaccurate at times. He can put it in there, but sometimes he has some inconsistencies. So there was a big push. There was a report, several reports, that some teams have Tyler Shuck as their number 1 rated quarterback in this draft class ahead of Cam Ward. That is absolutely ridiculous. And that's the kind of smoke screens you're going to have to filter yourself through as you get closer to the NFL draft. Something to remember. Tyler Shuck obviously not going in the first one. We'll see what happens in day 2 here, but I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you at home waiting for your Louisville quarterback to get drafted. Luther Burden, like I already said, didn't get drafted. Definitely first-round talent. I think pretty much everyone agrees with that. But you look at his film, he's like punching guys on the sideline in the helmet. He's getting held back, getting drawn penalties after the play, during the play. Total just bonehead behavior out of Luther Burden. And I guess the head coach there kind of encourages that sort of thing. So maybe that's where it's all coming from. Maybe whoever drafts him is going to turn it around. He has Steelers second-round wide receiver written all over him. He's going to have to go to a true leader who can bring him in and cool him off and get him to play good ball. Maybe the Lions take him. He is a slot guy. A lot of people don't realize that. He's a deep threat slot guy, which is an awesome thing to have. So maybe the Lions do go ahead and take a little peek at Luther Burden here in the late second round or third round if he falls there. But great guy, just character concern, and that's why he can fall. And I think this year more than ever, I've really tried to dig into the character concerns or the reasons, the red flags on these guys' profiles that makes a Sean Tucker or a Troy Franklin fall out of the draft or into the late rounds in the NFL draft. Guys that are good at football, but for some reason, teams aren't drafting him. So this year, I think I did a lot better job managing that. Other guys who are still available, Mike Green, pass rusher. We'll see who takes him. He was a guy I was hoping the Lions would take there. They got Tyleek, which obviously I believe in what the Lions are doing. So they probably nailed it there. But Mike Green still available. Will Johnson, cornerback, still available. He's really good. The Notre Dame quarterback still available too. Benjamin, whatever his name is. Jalen Milroe. Let's talk about fake steam. Jalen Milroe. Oh, he's going to go in the first round. He's invited to the draft. They're not going to invite him to the draft to not draft him. That was ridiculous. Pat McAfee show actually did a really great job of keeping the cameras off him. I don't know what the other broadcasts were doing. We're zooming in on him or not, watching him kind of squirm and not get drafted. But until that guy converts to wide receiver, I don't see him producing any in the NFL. Never reached 2,800 passing yards in his final season with Bama. He didn't reach 800 rushing yards, which other running backs who are probably going to go undrafted had more rushing yards. I am totally out on Milroe, at least as a quarterback. I don't think it's going to work in the NFL. And I get it. A team's going to think they can change him, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be the Browns, and I'll have a different video coming out tomorrow morning. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State didn't get drafted, nor did his compatriot over there, Noel. He's a guy I would love to see a team take a shot at early in the second round. I think we're going to get a little bit of a wide receiver run because these guys are good. Trey Harris, same thing. Travion Henderson, a lot of steam for first-round draft capital. I never bought it. When you're drafting a guy in the first round, he's got to be a bell cow. And Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins never did that in their career, not even when they were apart. When they were together, obviously they shared the rock. But when they were apart, neither of them were ever bell cows. So the first round steam for Travion Henderson, entirely unwarranted, in my opinion. We'll see if he gets drafted here in the early second round. I'll change my tune, but I could see him falling into third, fourth round. He's a speedster, which guys like, but just like the contested catch characteristic for wide receivers, I believe flat out speed is way, way overrated, at least in a vacuum. Flat out speed is way, way overrated for running backs in the NFL. And every once in a while, you'll fall into Miami Dolphins offense and you'll have some insane efficiency statistics. But in the long run, it just ain't going to fly. You have to have kind of both, like Jahmyr Gibbs has, the elusivity, this flat out speed, and the contact balance to run through guys' heads. And that's it. Those are all the notes I have for the NFL draft. I am very excited to see what happens in day 2 of the NFL draft. It is going to be a fun time seeing where these wide receivers land and where these running backs land. A guy I didn't even talk about. I didn't expect him to go in the first round. Cam Scatterbo was my number 2 running back in this draft class, ahead of Amarian Hampton, despite what Amarian Hampton put on film and what he did. 2 years of great production, elite production. So, hey, safer pick than Cam Scatterbo, but I would like to see Cam get drafted. I'd also like to see Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa, get drafted in day 2, see where they land. But so far, the running backs that were shaking in their boots are taking at least a slight sigh of relief getting out of the first round outside of Najee Harris, who, let's be honest, never was going to be a thing over there in LA. Thank you guys for watching. My name's Jamie Jakes. Let me know if you like these live formats. I feel like this was kind of fun challenge for me to do. And I did the videos and everything. So let me know how y'all like it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.